Hello, welcome to the continuation of the previous video. I was talking about how we get messages in from JavaScript and also how we call JavaScript functions from Blueprint. So we had already covered the calling Blueprint functions from JavaScript in the previous video, so in this video we're going to talk about how you call back into JavaScript. And it's a little bit more involved, not hard. It's all done in Blueprint still. So basically the way this gets done is the easiest way to do this is probably to talk about how this works on this side. So in this example we have we register a callback with Radiant saying we want to bind to a function called notify door state. This is purely made up. It's just how we're identifying this function to Blueprint, and so anyway, it's called notify door state, and we pass in a JavaScript function to it, and then we have one argument, and then door state is expected to be in this case it's just compared to integer, so it should be an integer. The type safety isn't super robust on this side. JavaScript and Blueprint may not match up because JavaScript is more loosely typed than Blueprint is. So you could pass in a string, for example, for door state, and it wouldn't cause an error, but you'd have to. There is some effort done to make it type safe, and I'll show you how we do that. So this passes in the door state value, and then the text of the button is set accordingly. So if we look back at our Blueprint, the first thing that we are going to talk about here actually is not this. In order to call into JavaScript, we make a JavaScript method. And actually, you know what? I am just going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this whole graph, and we're going to do this from scratch. Alright, and the way that this works set up is that door state is an enum. It's got some various integer values. This method is invoked by actually the door. You can look at the Blueprint for the door. The door notifies the monitor screen actor that it's opening or closing. But all you need to know is that this passes in whenever the door opens or closes. This gets called. And so the first thing you got to do is you're going to say, I'm going to make a new JavaScript call, and this is a Blueprint object. So we'll look at Radiant here, and I'm going to make a new JavaScript function call, and I'll select that, and I'll just call it my JavaScript function. Now, this is going to have just the function name in it, and we're going to go ahead and say, if we look back at our code here, it's looking for something called notify door state. So we'll go ahead and say that's what our function is actually called on the JavaScript side, notify door state. Now, there aren't any variables here, but what we do is if we want this function to take a parameter, we're going to add a variable to our JavaScript function object, and it's expecting an integer, so we'll just call it the door state. It's what it's expecting, and it's an int. Actually, it's a byte because enums are bytes. And there you go. Alright, so there's my JavaScript function. Easy enough. Alright. So basically, I want to invoke that function when the door state is changed. So in order to do that, I have to create an instance of that function. And actually, this is context. Isn't gonna. So I need to make a new JavaScript function call instance. And I want the type to be my JavaScript function. Okay? and then I want to cast that. Oh yeah, this is an issue here. Alright, so I have to save this out. My apologies, and close out Unreal, because it doesn't seem to recognize the changes here until I come back in. So if you run into that problem where you can't do what I'm about to show you, it's just because you got to restart after making your JavaScript object. And what I want to do is, oops, not that one, at the monitor here. What I want to do is cast this. See, so my cast wasn't showing up, but now it is. So I'm going to cast it to my notify door state. Alright, and so out comes my notify door state. Oh, I don't want to cast it to that. Oh, no, that's not what I want to cast it to. I want to cast it to my JavaScript function. I apologize for that, because that's the object that we created over here. Okay. Otherwise, the cast would have always failed, and this wouldn't have worked. But anyway, okay. So now we can start doing some stuff. So what I want to do now is I want to set the parameter, the first parameter. So the variable on this object, which was the parameter, and we'll go ahead and look at this real fast. Again, here's my JavaScript function. It has a variable on it called door state. Back into the blueprint here. So we're going to set this door state value, which is part of this object, to that. And don't forget to connect us up here. Okay. And then we are going to, we're going to invoke the JavaScript function. And the one last object we need is I need to get the JavaScript call context, and you can just not worry about what that is. It's just something you have to have off of your JavaScript call. It's an internal thing. So there you go. So we have just wired up our own JavaScript call into the code, into the JavaScript code. So if this does work, we should see the button labels in the HTML changing as we have specified here. I'll go ahead and play again. And there we go. And that is the basics on how you call back into JavaScript from Blueprint. So again, just to recap what you do, you need to make a Blueprint JavaScript, Radiant JavaScript call, and this is actually the, imagine it as the type of function you're calling, the name and the arguments, and that's reflected in your HTML code. Here's my name, and here's my argument, and then that's what we've got in here. The name, notify door state, and the arguments are the list of variables. And then to call it, we need to create an instance of that call, cast it to that type, set the arguments. So if you had multiple arguments, you need to set those, and then call invoke on that object. Invoke is a method on the JavaScript function call that you've created. And that about does it. So thanks for watching.